Hi, I'm Earl Thompson, and it's Game Time. Game Time Sports Show here at the Twisted Line, Sandy Port. Game Time Sports is a sports talk show where we put emphasis on local Bahamian sports and its athletes.
Hello, I'm Troy the Answer Feast. They call me Feast the Beast. And we will be bringing you well-researched information in and around sports, both locally and internationally.
And I'm Demarius Cash from Game Time Sports. We'll introduce the Bahamian athlete to the world, their success, accomplishments, and failures.
So stay tuned for some exciting sports talk. When we come back, we'll have some sports updates for you.
Hi, I'm Judette Johnson, and this is Game Time Sports Update. Last week on the hardwood, the Oklahoma Sooners are currently the #1 team in the nation. Our very own Buddy Hield plays for the Oklahoma Sooners. On Saturday, January 30th, the OU played against the #1 draft prospect, Ben Simmons of LSU. The Oklahoma Sooners won the game with a score of 77-75. Hield scored a game-high of 32 points with 7 rebounds. Hield is also the nominee for College Player of the Year. In other news, the Jordan Prince William Falcons, both junior and senior boys, won the BAISS championships in basketball. The junior boys played against St. Augustine's Big Red Machine and came out on top with a score of 30-29, while the senior boys won 44-31 to the Queens College Commons. QC junior girls and SAC senior girls won the other divisions. On the golf scene, Judette Ro was unsuccessful in advancing to the final round of the Pure Silk Bahamas LPGA Classic. Ro shot a 9-over par 82 performance in round 2, but it just wasn't enough to move her to the next round. This is Ro's 3rd year in the tournament. On to track and field, Devin Charlton broke both Bahamian and Purdue's 60-meter women's hurdles record, clocking 8.11 seconds on Saturday, January 23rd. Please get ready for the up-and-coming BAISS track and field meet, where QC gets ready to defend their crown, starting on February 10, 2016. Now on to the volleyball scene. The championship for both men and women started last Sunday, January 31st. On our next show, we will have highlights from both championships. The men's championship between the Intruders and the Defenders, and the women's championships between the Vixens and the Truckers. I am Judette Johnson, and this has been a Game Time Sports Update.
And welcome back. Thank you, Jayandra. That was a wonderful sports report, and that's what we're about here at Game Time Sports, featuring not just the athletes, but some of the young talent that's coming up in the Bahamas. And Jayandra is a young communications major at the College of the Bahamas, and she'll be with us for a while, giving us sports updates. Thank you a lot. That was wonderful.
Excellent, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, hey. In this segment, we're going to have a little bit of sports talk. We're going to talk about what's happening out there in sports. We're going to touch on some things, and we're going to just have a good conversation to get the Bahamian people to see where we feel on certain things in sports today. So, Feast, what's been happening?
Before I get to that, I was sitting here just curious, wondering where in the world did I ever get this Miami Dolphins jersey? They haven't been relevant for 1,000 years, but you here sporting this.
Hold on. Let's get something straight here. The Dolphins are always relevant, win, lose, or draw. Bahamians find a way to tease about our losses, cry about our wins. We always talk about the Dolphins. I have a crew of fellas call me all the time when the Dolphins lose. They're not worried when Pittsburgh loses or this so-called 49er team loses.
Yeah.
They worry about my Dolphins. We're going to always be relevant.
He's convinced of this. This is absolutely false, and he's convinced.
I am convinced I'll always be a Dolphin till the day I die.
But the only thing the Dolphin fans really hold on to is that 72 season.
Undefeated, be the only team. But you know something? This last few weeks I've been sitting down thinking about that. And the longer it takes for somebody to catch us, it even means more to us. So I keep a bottle of champagne every year, and I pop that every year for the last 30, 40 years.
It is sad.
I always say
wonderful.
A lot of Dolphin ex-players got to be in the church.
Yeah, we're pretty blessed.
Praying to keep that.
It's where we have that stadium built. We'll talk about where that stadium built another day.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about is something wonderful that's happening in the Bahamas, and something that's happening for the Bahamas. Listen, we've got history making in the Bahamas. We've got possibly and probably since I think Michael Thompson. I think Michael Thompson was the last Bahamian college basketball player to get Player of the Year. And I think Buddy Hield is well on his way to become Player of the Year in the NCAA this year. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's true to form. Buddy And I always say this to my friends. He reminds me a bit of Steph Curry in him. And Steph Curry changed the dynamics of the game where it's a shooter's game now.
Yeah, yeah.
And Buddy would, his stock is rising. Dickie V, all these guys are everywhere you go. Air Buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy.
I saw an interview with him earlier this week. Man, I think you saw the same interview. We spoke about it yesterday.
Yeah.
But he talked about growing up in Freeport and growing up in the Bahamas, in Grand Bahama, 8 Mile Rock to be example. And you know something? I'm really pissed at the people in Grand Bahama.
Yeah.
He's probably right now the best known Bahamian athlete in the United States.
Yes.
And we should celebrate him. And Grand Bahama should have some big sign up saying, "Welcome to Grand Bahama." No, they don't.
In the straw market, we should have bobbleheads.
You gotta be
They
kidding me.
don't. They should put a sign up that says, "Welcome to Grand Bahama, home of Buddy Hield." And maybe they're waiting until he wins the Player of the Year, and they want to say, "Welcome to Grand Bahama, home of Buddy Hield, NCAA Basketball Player of the Year," because then that's a selling tool for our country.
Yes.
And he's been a great ambassador. He never forgets the opportunity to talk about the Bahamas when he's interviewed. And in an interview, he said he remembers taking crates to make basketball. I'm sitting back and said, growing up in Chippenham, I used to do the same thing.
Amateurs play on great rim.
But my only problem is I ain't get good enough to make it to the the pros.
Yeah.
I think all of us. But you think we understand the significance of what Buddy's doing right now in college basketball as the Americans do? I mean, you listen to Dickie V, like Demarius I mentioned earlier, and all these commentators comparing him and basically just saying he's going to be a lottery pick. The stock's rising. I mean, you think we understand as Bahamians the significance of it?
I think I do, but I don't think Bahamians do. I don't think we understand just how big a superstar is this we have. This is NCAA basketball, where you have kids who come from poor background and within a year are millionaires.
Yeah.
The money is flowing. It's probably probably making the most money of all sports, maybe outside of the NFL, making money in the most sports in the United States. And this is huge. His name is well known amongst all kind of people. And we're not talking New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. We're talking Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And people are talking about him all over the United States. I'm proud of him as a Bahamian, and I'm hoping to see him become a first-round pick. I'd love to see him in an LA uniform, but maybe that won't happen. But if it does, I'll be more ecstatic. I think it'll be the third coming of him playing for the Lakers, and it'll be something great to happen.
Electricity. I mean, I was downtown the other day, and I saw a Chinese man. He said, "Ni hao, buddy, good."
Yeah.
So they even know.
They know.
So, I mean, don't you think it would be amazing if we get a large contingent of Bahamians in New York for the NBA draft?
I know Game Time Sports would be there. And we take some people with us. I think it'd be something wonderful.
Put it on the record.
And put it on the record. Game Time Sports will be there. And we get down there and we're going to watch and we're going to have our flags and we're going to cheer. And when they says the #1 pick for the Los Angeles Lakers out of Oklahoma University, Buddy Hield, Nassau, the Bahamas, and the Bahamians go well. This is what it's all about. This is about bigging up, and the Game Time Sports, bigging up our Bahamian athletes and showing our Bahamian athletes. When we get back, we talk a little bit more sports. Right after this, Game Time Sports here at Twisted Lime in Sandy Port, Nassau, the Bahamas. And welcome back to Game Time Sports. I'm Earl Thompson, and this is Demarius Cash. We have a special golf interview which is going to be brought to you by NSCG Securities Consultant. Our special guest is our very own Bahamian professional golfer, Miss Judette Ro. Judette, welcome to Game Time Sports.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Tell us a little about yourself. Where did you go to school? Stuff like that.
Well, primary school, I was at St. Thomas More. And then I transitioned into St. Augustine's College.
Stop right there. St. Augustine.
Yeah.
I ready to give them a plug. Okay.
Yeah,
Big Red Machine. Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, yes, like greatest high school. I mean, like I literally took one entrance exam for high school, but I knew I was going there.
Excellent. So did I.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
I guess like during primary and high school, like I played a little bit of golf on the weekends and so forth.
Okay.
But then like my last year, I guess in my last few years, like I really became like a like more than 1 day per week golfer. Which was like perfect because then I was able to get a full college scholarship at Alabama State University.
Okay.
And then I was there for like a year, and then I transferred to Texas Southern University in Houston, and I finished off everything up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You played golf for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you do? How was it? All American?
You know what? Not all American, but I almost made it to some NCAA championships as an individual, like, which was pretty, like, cool. Like, my scoring average was definitely, it was like definitely low enough to get in. But some other factors were present. But I was playing some pretty good golf in my junior and senior year in college.
All right, good stuff. So what year did you turn pro?
I turned pro in 2008. Yeah. After I finished with undergrad, I said, you know what, let me go ahead and and check it out. So I went to I went to what they call qualifying school, which is a series of golf courses. Where you pretty much playing to like make it through that event and hopefully into the next few. So you go ahead and get status. So I was able to get some status, and I played some golf on the LPGA Beaches tour for the next 2 years. But during that time, I also taught a lot of junior golf. Like, I was, I was probably teaching maybe like minimum like 20 hours per week. Junior golf, and I think I really found my passion with that, to be honest.
And golf is perceived as the rich man's sport. How do we get more kids from Nassau, from Beantown, from Grandstand, Chippendale areas, overhead areas, who want to play golf? There is a lot of talent in this little country.
Tell me about it. Yeah. You know what? I guess like that's I mean, well, it could be simple because, like, for instance, like, I worked with a sorry, with a nonprofit group called the Innovative Center for last year, to where, like, they had a reading program at Woodcock Primary, which is in Grandstown. Exactly. So yes, like, since they were there, like, what I did as a nonprofit as a nonprofit initiative for myself, we went in there, and I think we were in there for maybe almost 3 months, teaching golf to the boys, like, right there on site. Okay. Because my program, we also go in and we teach at a couple other schools. Okay. And so we went in there. I mean, like, when I say talent, I mean, like, these boys, I mean, well, it was just mainly boys, natural talent. I mean, but as far as, like, logistics wise, getting them, to the golf course, that was kind of like the lapse in us actually moving on, transitioning here. So I think it could be as simple as, as maybe some government intervention there. To where we can get some funds for, well, not to cover the entire thing. Yes. Because myself and I've got a couple other instructors, like, we are willing, to go ahead and volunteer our time for it. But there's also, things as far as equipment and so forth like that, still needs to be covered. Yeah. So it's just simple as us getting, them on board to say, hey, we'll cover X amount of dollars for X amount of kids, and let's make it happen. Because that's one of my goals. Like, I moved home back in December 2013, with a vision, to pioneer golf education, well, mainly junior golf, here in the Bahamas, and to grow the game. And so that's definitely one of the goals.
Excellent.
So, Judette, we want to thank you for taking time out to talk to us at Game Time. It's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
And we enjoy talking to you, and we wish you the best. And we look for great things in 2016 for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
As a young person at Game Time, we want to encourage you to do well.
Gotcha. I love it. Thanks, Game Time.
No problem.
So there you have it, the Bahamas' own professional female golfer, Judette Ro. When we come back, we're going to introduce you to an up-and-coming golfer, as we show that Bahamas, not only in track and field and basketball, but in most sports, we have talent. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
We're back at Game Time Sport. We're here with a bonus feature, Elijah Delany, up-and-coming golf player, brought to you by NSCG. Earl?
Delany. Oh, Mr. Delany, Elijah. Tell us, how did you get into golf?
Well, my grandmother, she was the president of Bahamas Golf Federation in 2006 and 7 for tenure. Agatha Delany, yes.
Okay. Great golfer.
I used to be around the game a lot. Around that kind of time, I went into baseball. So then I stopped playing baseball after I got injured my arm. And then I came on the golf course and I started hitting balls, and I started to get back into it, and I really liked it.
I understand you played in a few tournaments representing the Bahamas on the amateur level.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about where did you play?
We actually I just came from a tournament a couple of weeks ago in Dominican Republic, the Latin American Amateur Championship. That went pretty well. We had a tournament December the 28th, the World Junior Golf Championship, Slam and Squire, up in St. Augustine. And then we had the Caribbean Amateur Golf Championships up in Jamaica. Yeah, but we also played pretty well.
Okay. Delany, what are your goals for 2016?
My goal for 2016 are to continue practicing, doing well, prepare now for the National Amateur we have here in the Bahamas up in April. Practice for that. That's my first goal. And then after that, then we continue to practice up towards CIGC in August.
Okay. Now let me see if I can get some of my golf terminology. Are you a scratch golfer?
Yes, sir.
You're a scratch golfer. Okay. I have a very, very high handicap. So they tell me over 24 you don't count anymore. Is that true?
No, not really. Yeah.
Okay. So you're a student as well?
Yes, sir. At the College of Commerce studying banking and finance.
Yeah. They say the golfers are smart people. Well, nice to meet you.
All right, thank you.
Bahamas, there you have it. An up-and-coming golfer, Elijah Delany, who will be playing for the Bahamas this year in the Caribbean Junior Championship. Let's look out for him. Stay tuned to Game Time Sports, where we'll bring you a lot more and introduce you to a lot more athletes that are up-and-coming in this Bahamas. Welcome back to Game Time Sports here at the Twisted Lime Sandy Port Resort, Nassau, the Bahamas. Our next segment is called Feast Issues. It's where Feast comes and he just moons. I want to say the other way, but he just moons about his issues. Feast, what's going on now?
Well, you know what gripes me is all this crime we got going on. And it seems like the powers that be and the people who are in position to put effective mechanisms in place to kind of reduce the crime, they don't see and understand the value of sports. It's like you ask a politician or somebody, you ask the commissioner of police, what do you guys think about sports? Oh, sports is this and sports is that. Nobody ever mentions sports. And I believe sports is the antidote to crime and all these social ills affecting our country today. And I believe if we use sports, we will see a reduction in all this crime. We go back to the community. If you can use sports to bring the community, we can use sports to socialize the young people, because our kids lack socialization. People getting stopped because somebody stepped on the next one's shoe, or somebody said something and they dislike it, so they pull out a knife or they pull out a gun and they take somebody's life. Like somebody's life is not valuable anymore. But sports could change all that. Sports will make you disciplined. Sports can have a reduction on that D average that we see in the school.
Take that stress out of you.
Sports can have an effect on the obesity factor in our community.
Bitches.
And we will see a reduction in the health.
Mm-hmm.
In the health, all the money we spend on health every year, we'll see a reduction in that. So I believe in the Bahamas, we just don't value sports or use it on the level as we see our counterparts in other parts of the world do. They value sports.
You know what? But I can say this, and if I saying this, I agree with you.
You agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Listen, I visited Cuba. And I went to a baseball game in a township. And I was able to see levels of baseball within that township. From the minis, from say 3-4-year-olds, the 8-9-year-olds, the 10-12-year-olds, the 15-16-year-olds, to over 18 to the masters. So you had an array. And what happened is they jump in buses and they go from township to township playing at the townships. So it's like Grantstown playing Baintown, and Baintown playing Chippenham, and Chippenham playing Fox Hill, and Fox Hill playing Nassau East, and Nassau East playing Mount Pleasant. Mm-hmm. And what it did, it brought not only sports around the country, but camaraderie around the country. You get to meet people and you get to know people from different areas. And what it does is it gets the kids off the streets early. You get them in programs, get them disciplined. So what it does is, we know who the good kids are because they're the ones playing the sports. Yeah. The one or two who don't want to play sitting on the park or sitting on the blocks doing crap, then the police can deal with them in their way. Yeah. So I think with crime is, and what disappoints me is when I look at the political figures in this country, both sides of the political divide, whether you PLP, FNM, DLB, UBP, UDP, whatever P it is, or whatever letter it is, whatever it is, they have athletes in their organizations who represented the country in track and field, in basketball, in softball, in all these sports. And you're trying to tell me that they can't bring what they learned to the table? And even our Prime Minister today was a great track star.
Yeah. Yep.
The Valley boys started off a track.
All right. So what's wrong here that they're not seeing that athletics, sports, is something great for keeping kids and young people off the streets?
And just to put on what both of you all are talking about, I remember about a couple years ago, I came up through the feeder system, mini, super mini,
Okay.
junior boys.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved back home from the States, I noticed that that league was done. So most of those young boys who played in the who they could get from to play in that league, you know, they sitting idle on the blocks.
Nothing to do.
And you know,
idle hands the devil's worker.
Earl is much younger than Demarius and I. I mean, you like to think that he is, but Earl was a part of a generation of people who saw community sports happen at its peak.
Yes.
And you know, before coming on there, Earl, you know, was telling us about, you know, the Cougars and all these different franchises that were around. I think like that aspect of community sports kept us together, and I'm sure a number of friendships would have been established and opportunities out of those community sports.
I'm a Roman Catholic, so I grew up in St. Francis Church. So you go on the Priory grounds. Some of the best basketball players in this country came off the Priory grounds. And the Cougars actually came out of there. But I was talking to an old-time guy who's a few years older than me, and he was talking about they were having a reunion, and he was buying some stuff to take to the reunion. But the Cougars, this guy's 60. So we know that he came from when he was 10, 11 years old. So this is like 50, 60 years of togetherness and friendship that is bonded. I grew up in Chippingham, home of the Harlem Raiders. All right, and from with C. Egg Taylor and Chicken Taylor and Sissy Taylor
Raiders.
and all those guys. You know, we've had Adam Bristol is a product who our first Major League ball player for the Cincinnati Reds is a product of the Harlem Raiders, or a product of that area. And I saw the togetherness of the young men then. And to see that baseball and not happening like that, and seeing how a lot of them went wayward and got into crime because their minds weren't occupied, their time wasn't taken up, so they had idle hands, they got into drugs, they got into all kind of crazy things, which hurt the community. And so without sports, without other things happening, it does hurt the community, and we need to do it. And the government, I mean, if you give me maybe Prime Minister for a week, and give me that kind of power, or even make me Minister of Sports for a week, there's some programs I like to see happen. And first thing I would do is get that community sports back off the ground. The feeder systems, the minis, you know, the junior leagues, moving in and continuing to the master leagues and all that.
And just push the marketing behind it.
We have a lot of marketing geniuses in this country. There's no reason why we can't. See, I always said this. We have to get away from that former track star being in charge of the track association, or the former and get some business people. The NBA is the prime example. David Stern don't play basketball. David Stern couldn't play basketball to save his life.
No, never
played. But he as a marketing genius turned the NBA around and took it from 2,000 to 3,000 people into a gym to every game sold out. And that's what we need. We need to bring more business-minded people who's gonna. You have the policy side or the development side, and that's the former athletes who can help develop that sport. But you bring the business mind person to grow the sport, to find the fund, so they can get the programs they want to do. And I think that's kind of things we need to do. We need sports to grow. We need sports to develop. We have too many athletes out there making a name for our country, and we're not piggybacking on that growing sports in this country.
Well, you know what?
I was just going to say, I think another way we could grow too. Most of these companies, they get all this concession. So we charge a percentage, whatever their earnings are, and we try to pump it into programs or sporting programs.
So should I send this message to the VAT czar and say, listen, we can give a return or an exemption for VAT if you give money to sports. If you give $50,000 a year to basketball, you get an exemption on your VAT. When your VAT returns, we take that out of your VAT. Like the Americans do with income tax. You have tax write-offs, and so you can have what you call a VAT write-off. If you do certain things, and that's where you save some money. I agree.
And we always talking about, every time we talk to someone, elder statesman about sports, we should bring the sports lottery, the lottery. It's not coming.
It should come.
But it's not coming. So we got to find other ways we could generate money.
Okay.
Well, nothing can change in sports in the Bahamas until we get a national sports developmental plan. And just remember, in my closing remarks, sports is the antidote to crime and social hurts.
And your closing remarks, Demarius?
My closing remarks, I think we need to put these programs back in place, do whatever it takes to put it back in place and get everyone, all hands on deck. Take all hands on deck approach.
I agree. Well, folks, I'm Earl Thompson.
I'm Feast the Beast.
And Demarius Cash.
And this has been Game Time Sports from the Twisted Lime in the Sandy Port, beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. keep listening, keep looking out for us. It's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be an exciting year in sports for the Bahamas, and even a more exciting year for Game Time Sports. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again. Game Time Sports, Sandy Port, Nassau, the Bahamas.